Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 10 at Belmont Park on Saturday. The $250,000 Empire Distaff Handicap, fillies and mares going a one-turn mile. Let me remind you that the DRF Belmont Fall Clocker reports available right now, drf.com/clocker. They'll be available for the entire Belmont Fall Championship meeting, a perfect complement to your daily racing form past performances. Mike Welsh and his expert team of morning clockers grade most of these workouts leading up to the race with in-depth analysis. Here's the field for the Empire Distaff, and it's a pretty strong one. Newly minted, has really done nothing wrong in her career. She's a perfect 4 for 4 on dirt. She's trained by Linda Rice. She's 5-2 on the morning line. Perhaps an intriguing new face is the number 10, Radikowski, who just popped a 90 by her speed figure, running off by the length of the track. And then you got the 9, Midnight Disguise, who's one of the gatekeepers of this division. 5 lifetime wins, stretching back out to a mile, which might be a more appropriate distance. Mike, it's a really interesting race, and from a Timeform U.S. pace projector standpoint, the 3 Might Be gets blinkers again. I could see Might Be out on the lead. I think Radikowski will be close as well.
Yeah, Radikowski is going to be forward in this race. It's interesting because the 2 favorites on the morning line, you know, they're the 2 that maybe have the most to prove in here, and they're facing some older horses who maybe they're not that consistent, but most of them have a race or 2 that's going to make them pretty tough in this race.
No doubt about it, but Newly Minted was so impressive winning the Fleet Indian last time out. I think there were some questions about her ability to go a mile and an eighth at Saratoga, and we turn into the stretch. She solved those issues very, very quickly. She takes over the lead under an extremely confident ride, and she's just ridden out by Jose Lezcano to win by 9 lengths. Co-career best by her speed figure of 81. She draws inside here, but we know a one turn isn't an issue for her, and with her tactical speed, she should be able to find a spot.
Yeah, as easily as she won this race, going longer, it feels like the cutback to a mile is actually going to help this horse. And I mean, she's just won all 4 of her dirt starts very, very easily. To me, she hasn't run necessarily a particularly fast race yet, but to me, there's just no telling how good she is.
The number 2 is Bonita Bianca. She's the defending champion of this race. She won the Empire Distaff last year as the favorite under a very confident Jose Lezcano, but she hasn't won since, and it just looks like maybe she's a bit off form. This will be her 3rd start of the form cycle for the very dangerous Jason Service, but she has not done any running in her last 2 races.
Yeah, she hasn't. They tried cutting her back. That didn't work out. She obviously came into this race in way better form last year. You know that she's good enough on her best day, Dan. We'll see if she can turn it around in here.
Might Be was 2nd in this race at 41-1 in 2017, and her early speed makes her dangerous. Now, Bruce Levine took blinkers off first time for the barn last time out. It was a disastrous performance where she gave chase to Radikowski and gave way willingly. The blinkers go back on, and I just think there's one way for her to go. Try to send her to the front. Coming off that last race, though, it's a bit of a leap of faith.
Yeah, I mean, you know that she's better than that. You mentioned that her race in this race 2 years ago, which was sort of, it sort of came out of nowhere. But she actually went on from there and ran a bunch of good races after that. It felt like she was just really getting good. I won't be too hard on her for the last race, but it is hard to trust her now.
Our Supernova comes off a win for Charlie Baker, and the win came off about a 3-month layoff. We'll go back to that race at Belmont on September the 28th. She's on the outside, the number 5. She's been up close to this pace throughout, and she fights it out all the way to the wire. She's a really likable filly. The runner-up, My Roxy Girl, came back to win. She's come back in good form for Charlie Baker. I just think she needs a little bit of buyer help.
Yeah, this is a nice win for her. She manages to fight it out and get it done. Charlie Baker's barn has actually been going really good lately. I just don't see how this horse is going to beat this field over a mile.
I'm a big fan of No Hain, No Gain, and Steve Asmussen found a spot for her last time out at Finger Lakes in the Jack Better Be Right Stakes for New York breds. We turn into the stretch. Here she is on the outside. I thought all in all the trip pretty much worked out for No Hain, No Gain, and she's going to battle it down to the wire, fighting off the blinkered Might Be.
Yeah, this is one of the good Might Be efforts, not like the last one. No Hain, No Gain's just going to get the better of her at the end. She ran well in here. She's got races on the go back that would make her pretty tough in this race. She's not the most reliable horse in the world, Dan, but she's got a good race in her, one that would get her a big piece of this.
Another horse that has a good race in her, and another horse that has underrated early speed. And I wouldn't be surprised if Luis Saez hustles the 6 out of orbit into a good forward position, as he did last time out in the Saratoga Deuce Stakes, going 1 1/8. And again, there were some questions regarding her ability to get this distance, but she went right to the front. Saez backed down these fractions, and out of orbit had enough left to hold off Held Accountable, who's also in this race. She earned an 83 buyer. That would be good enough to put her in the winner's circle again, I believe.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what she does. I think going into this race, I find it hard to believe anybody really thought that she was going to get the 1 1/8. But she got to the front and she got the distance, and she's run some races. I think you're right. I think she's going to go forward in this race. I just think there are some better horses than her in here.
Unbridled Adventure is already stakes placed at 1 1/8 against New York Breds, third in the Bay Ridge at the end of 2018. So for broodmare purposes, it looks like Michael Tenuzzo picked up a bargain for $5,000 last time out at Monmouth. We turn into the stretch. He's 1 to 10 for a reason. This is a $5,000 beaten claimer, and she just puts the absolute boots to them. 65 buyers not going to get it done. This is a good barn, though.
Yeah, good barn. This is a filly who's got some back class. She probably wants to go a little longer than a mile. She's probably more of a 2-turn horse, but she's run some good races. She's just airing on this field for 5.
Held Accountable's run some decent races in the past. 2 starts back, we saw her chase out of orbit in vain. Then they tried the Yaddo on the turf. The Yaddo is not what she wants. But I wonder if the Yaddo was a means to an end for Phil Serpe. This formulator fact points out that Serpe does very well with horses moving from turf to dirt routes. 36%, $5.81 return on investment. Maybe Held Accountable, if she gets some pace, can at least pick up some pieces.
Yeah, I think she can. I'm actually a fan of this horse. I don't know if I feel like she can beat this field, but she's the kind of horse who, at a price, I'd be trying to get in there underneath, I think.
Midnight Disguise is a multiple stakes winner against open foes, also going out for trainer Linda Rice. We'll go back to her most recent race. It was the Dancin' Renee Stakes at 6 furlongs, and I just wonder if the 6 is a little bit short for her at this point in her career, Mike. We're going to see her pick up some pieces and finish 3rd behind her sister, Holiday Disguise. She's been winless now for about a year, and we're closing into a 1.5 years, but she's another one that I think the mile's going to help her out a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think stretching back out will help her. She's another one. She's got races that would make her really tough in this race. There's a chance that this thing really sets up well for her, too. She hasn't won yet this year, but she's plenty good enough to beat this field.
The number 10, Radikowski, has done a lot in a short amount of time. She was unraced at 2, unraced at 3, unraced at 4. Didn't make her career debut until May the 25th of her 5-year-old campaign. She's made up for lost time. She's won 3 out of her last 4, including this effort. 90 buyer speed figure. She's already taken over. She's off to the races. Her last 2 races have been fast. She draws a nice outside post position where she can either lead or rate. She is an extremely dangerous new face with some upside.
Yeah, I know. I mean, how many times have you seen a horse who didn't debut until 5 actually turn out to be pretty good? It doesn't happen that often, but she is pretty good. 90 buyer speed figure for this race. It's going to make her super tough in here if she can back it up. That was a pretty weak field that she just beat in that race we just watched, and she got a really good trip. I know the fractions look fast, but she just sat right up on the pace. Nobody was closing in there. She was too good for them. The question is she too good for these horses? I think it's going to be a lot harder for her in here, Dan.
Take Charge Aubrey drops out of a decent non-winners of 1 other than allowance. It was an open field won by a decent horse and off topic. She just got cooked on the lead that day. I'm not willing to put too much stock into that 37 buyer effort. I know she's a better filly than that. I just wonder if she's stakes classed. I wonder if at her best in a field like this, she's the kind of horse you use underneath and tries.
Yeah, I mean, I actually liked her quite a bit as a 3-year-old. She has not run well in any of her 3 starts so far this year. We'll see if she can improve.
Really nice race, big field in the Empire Distaff. We take a look at our top selection. We agree. We're both going with Newly Minted, just hoping she could work out a nice tracking trip from the inside.
Yeah, I think that she can. She's a very handy horse. I like this spot for her. You know, we'll see what happens. Radikowski's been good. I wanted to be against that horse, and I was just sort of hoping that she would take money and maybe make Newly Minted a playable price.
Mike's going to go Newly Minted. I'm going to go Newly Minted. I'm going 110.69 in the Empire Distaff Handicap, race number 10. Approximate post time, 5:20 Eastern. Good luck.